And so, I mean, Gasper just returned to the Portland game after suspension. But anyways, no, I just looking down at my notes if we're going to move through the game quickly. I mean, obviously, I think we know who our man of the match was at the end of it. But, I mean, I had in my notes in the first 8-10 minutes, Manone had already come up with some nice saves. And I don't think Portland, I don't think the teeth of their attack, so to speak, was too sharp.
Well, they were missing. Who were they?
Well, Valeri was not in the starting lineup.
He wasn't in the starting lineup, but he came in late.
He came in like at the hour mark.
Yeah. But the weird thing was the sub in and out they got was Fernandez.
Yes.
Yep.
Fernandez went out for him.
Yeah.
And we were talking on text. Now, why the hell would you take out your best player and replace him with your other best player?
Twellman went on a rant exactly like that. I listened to it just last night. Yeah.
It's like you're trying to win this game. I think Portland still has a chance, or did they have a chance still?
I mean, they're in playoffs right now.
Yeah, but they were
just on the edge.
They were outside looking in going into that game.
You're outside looking in. You want to get 3 points out of this game.
The only thing I would say to that is, and I think it was brought up in the broadcast, is that Portland is in a stretch of 10 home games. They're right in the middle of a stretch of 10 home games, and I guess you could maybe blame it on tired legs, and that's really the only excuse that I guess anybody would take.
But, you're in the midst of 10 home games.
And to your point, I made a note of this, and they're in that right in the middle of that, and Portland had actually lost 4 of 6 games at home.
Yeah, they've been awful.
And that 10-game run at home all started after the U.S. Open Cup semi loss to Minnesota. Yeah. They came back home after that and had 10 straight, and they lost 4 of 6.
The way the league set it up for them this year is because of the fact they were renovating their stadium.
Yeah.
So they got those, which I'd be kind of pissed if I was other teams in MLS.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be like, I don't give a shit that you're renovating your stadium. Play somewhere else then.
Right.
This is crap. Why do you get 10 home games in a row at the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, that's... When they first announced that, I was like, talk about incredible advantage. Because Portland is known to be strong at home.
Yeah.
Prior to this season.
It is.
So it's one of those things where I'm like, you're going to give them that many games to close out the season at home? I mean, now who cares what they do at the beginning of the season? And a normal Portland should have been able to.
It's interesting you talk about their home field advantage, which was tremendously strong going into the season. But another note I had to make. We already talked about the final score of this game, so it's not really a spoiler. But Portland was held scoreless at home. This against Minnesota was the 3rd time in a row.
Yes.
Last time that happened, 2015. So it's rare for a lot of teams, but especially Portland.
Before we get out of this game, guys, and again, 0-0 loss. We get a point.
Draw. Can't lose 0-0.
I mean, 0-0 draw.
It might have felt like a loss.
It felt like a loss to me.
It felt like a win to me. So there you go. Dreamer Dave.
Because we didn't clinch a playoff spot.
Right. Yeah.
We get out of this though. Now, Portland, did they always have field turf, like the artificial stuff? That looked artificial to me.
I'm fairly certain that's real.
I am fairly certain it's real too. I can look it up while you talk about it.
It looks like field turf to me.
It's Portland. I mean, grass looks a lot fake in the Pac West.
I get this feeling that it's field turf because guys are slipping and sliding all over the place.
I guess I don't know.
Providence Park. So let's see.
I want to know because I thought MLS was totally against any artificial stuff.
I know. I mean, obviously, CenturyLink in Seattle is.
Well, yeah,
but
they have to be because they're football too.
I just thought it was an immaculate pitch.
It was pretty immaculate, but I thought it was field turf.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, well, Dave's looking it up for us.
Yeah.
I mean, we obviously have to talk Vito. Right?
Yeah,
he had 11 saves, which was a club record.
It is turf. Tony's right. It's artificial turf. Now I just did a quick Google search because of time, but there's conversations of getting real grass in that stadium.
Well, they should
in that field, but it's not at the moment.
There's no reason for that.
At least of last year.
Yeah, what the hell? Well, let's talk about Vito in that game just a little bit before we get out of it. Let's go way back to the beginning where we signed him.
Yes.
Okay. We had conversations about where he fits into this team.
Yep.
What he's going to be, why we got him, what kind of player is he. That was a very shrewd signing. by the Loons in the offseason to get Vito here on loan.
It was.
Because without Vito, I mean, we give a lot of props to the defense, the back four.
Right.
But Vito is he's the spark plug of that back four. He's the guy. He's been our man of the match numerous times, and he's proven himself to be worthy of for us to be purchasing his contract. I think for next year.
Yeah, I mean he had 11 saves against Portland. That was his 11th shutout.
Mm-hmm.
He is without a doubt front runner for goalie of the year.
Yeah, he should get goalie of the year.
Yeah, I mean he's the reason we are where we are.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
And I remember just thinking coming into the season, I mean, obviously he has some history, a big history in Europe. You know, he started with Arsenal, was with Arsenal, loaned out several times. But, most recently, he's with Sunderland, and I think he was with Reading.
Reading.
So he's loaned out from Reading to Minnesota United.
Just to piggyback that, I had to look up Reading currently.
Mm-hmm.
So he could be potentially starting for Reading, right?
Yeah.
Instead, he's here. And Reading is currently 20th
in the championship.
And they've
second
already
division.
allowed 12 goals in the season, which looks like it's about fourth to last.
So I mean, that's a conversation that needs to happen because I guess off the top of my head, I don't know, and that was a question that has come up to me: is he under contract with Reading through next year?
He is, but I think Reading's already said they're willing to let
him
Minnesota
buy him out, which I think we would.
And I think everybody that's a fan of the Loons would agree that it would be the
I mean, you've got Dane at this point. You've had Dane putting in time at Madison.
Yep. And
you just off-season you ship up. Well, off-season I would say you unprotect. Who else do we have?
Is Bobby still around?
He is.
Yeah.
So you unprotect Bobby?
So you unprotect Bobby from the expansion drafts. And you go into 2020 with Vito as number one. And
I think I
Dane
recall when we started this conversation back when we signed him, I thought Vito was going to be the stopgap for St. Clair.
Well, and I think he was.
He was, but he's outdone himself.
Right. Now at this point, you can't do it.
And now I think Dwayne's going, all right, well, I got another year now that I got to sit behind him, which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think you keep Dane here now all season next year, and he gets to spend his entire season learning behind a guy like Vito. I mean, you can't.
And I think next year you would see, if Vito stays, I think next year you'd see St. Clair start a couple games during the season.
I think so.
More than he has. Vito started every game this year, right?
I think Dane...
Did Dane start one game?
Dane did all the friendlies.
The friendlies,
yeah. Dane did not start an MLS game this year.
No. What about U.S. Open? I don't think he did.
No, he didn't.
Yeah. So
Vito's been great. Let's get into the Sporting KC match from Wednesday. Because we're now back at home.
Right.
We still have the opportunity to clinch a playoff spot.
Again, the West was very friendly to us.
Yes.
We dropped 2 points in Portland, and no one really did anything.
And not only that, but KC needs to win to stay in the playoff hunt.
Correct.
So both teams have something to play for here.
Yep, there's definitely not going to be a bog down in the defense by SKC.
Nope.
They can't sit back. They had to play.
So the first half starts out. Now, David, you and Johnny were in the Wonderwall.
We were,
You guys were there, having a good time.
Yes.
As I can see by the texts, you guys were having a great time. You threatened Johnny to punch him once.
I did.
And
it didn't start out. We should mention, by the way, that Matt Beasler was out.
Yeah.
Red card accumulation from the previous game, and then Fellharber was out due to injury. I think it was a quad injury. So, their lineup, SKC's lineup, isn't maybe as strong as it could have been, but
they're fighting for a playoff spot.
Yep.
And we're, of course, fighting to clinch
and we are, speaking of the starting 11, we're starting to see a little bit of a theme here with, again, no changes to the lineup.
Nope.
AR and Tommy were both out of it.
Mm-hmm.
You had Lud starting on the left again, but just same lineup that we've seen.
There's rumor that Angelo's there's an injury there.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
The great thing about MLS is apparently you can have injured players and not report them.
You don't have to. Not the NFL. You don't have to do it. And Tommy must still have that illness that he's had for a year.
Well, I think Tommy's just he's not going to serve a purpose for us.
No.
So
I
we might
think,
see him against Seattle.
This kind of speaking of, I just brought up the lineup, but circling back and not having AR in the lineup and whatnot, but at least you have Toy's emergence over the course of the season that's helped that out quite a bit, whether whether AR is injured or not. But I mean, going back to Portland real quick is I think we're starting to see Darwin being Darwin again.
Yeah,
and that's kind of one thing I did want to bring up. But his play and connection with Toy was evident in early on in the Portland game, and so it's good to see them working on that. And I think that continued into this game as well. But certainly, to continue, the first half was just a bit frustrating to say the least.
The first half was a shit show, and I will say this:
we even got an early dreaded goal.
Which let's talk about that goal for a second.
Boy,
guys.
I just remember being upset at giving up the lead inside of 10 minutes at home. But
we did, but no. After the game,
it wasn't until after
the videos popped up. Videos came on our Twitter account. Of views of that goal, and it was an obvious handball.
Well, and what's crazy is, this happened in front of the water wall, and no one noticed it.
It happened so fast.
And I think it was maybe 15, 20 minutes after the goal. I remember somebody from True North Elite yelled up to somebody behind John and Dave. And John and, I just talked to him. It was just literally referred to myself in third person. John and myself saying the goal was a handball.
Yeah.
And I didn't think anything of it.
And it's interesting from like Tony and my perspective. We were watching it on TV.
Yeah.
I didn't think anything twice because it happened too quick. There wasn't a lot of there wasn't many replays or there was just
there
one or
wasn't
two,
many replays
and they were quick either at the wrong angle. But I did not think handball. The announcers didn't suggest it. There was no talk of VAR.
There was no VAR talk. It was it. Right?
Yeah, and so it turns out that they were asked. The refs were asked about it.
Yeah.
VAR said that it was inconclusive.
I don't know how that's possible.
Which, yeah, exactly.
How many viewpoints do you have in VAR? You've got everything.
Exactly. And what's even better is, Sporting Kansas City posted on their Twitter account a slow motion of the goal.
Oh, God.
Well,
and Minnesota United Twitter account responded back saying, because literally you can see it.
Well, you
can see the ball hit his hand, and
his hand flaps back. It flaps.
It's like that is the handball.
It's a handball.
Hello. The ball. This is up for debate, but I don't think the ball hit his leg. I think his arm might have hit his leg just from the force of the ball.
I don't think there was any contact with anything other than the arm.
The ball hit his arm, and it was visibly moved.
In the live feed, it looks like it was off his leg because his arm is so close to his leg at that point.
And it was exactly lined up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But in the slow motion, you see it like a chicken wing. It just flaps back, and I'm like, it hit his arm. Hello.
Yeah. And no one obviously blew up after the game, so it didn't matter.
And it didn't. And the thing is, it didn't. As we'll get into now in the second half, is it didn't give KC a win or a tie.
I mean, it made people very, 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 very nervous.
It did. But I think that I believe that if we had tied KC or if we had lost to KC, this would have been a fire. There would have been a fire on social media about this whole situation.
I mean, I think even there were even some social media comments about MLS needs to do something retroactively. What would they do?
What are they going to do? Take a point?
I mean, it's the argument that you have a player like Vito who would have had a 12th shutout.
He would have,
and he got robbed of that.
He did,
and that's big for his season awards.
Of course it is,
and he wasn't robbed of it because it wasn't a not shutout because it should never have counted.
It should never count.
And obviously it's going to have to be something that Major League Soccer will be addressing with pro referees.
Yeah, exactly.
They have been awful
They have
this
been.
season. I mean, I think it's